This episode of Skirmish Supremacy is brought to you by Reformation Brewery, the official beer of your game night. Yeah, let's not fuck up names.
Well, I mean, now it's all the pressure because I've got to say, hey, everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. I believe since I've been looking at it almost all day long that this is episode 85. And, we have our first post-Gen Con guest on the show. They actually couldn't make it last week because they came down with the Gen Con plague. So we have Greg and Alicia Boisebelaud.
Perfect.
Oh my God, I said it right. What? No.
All right, this episode's over, folks. I'm gonna go ahead.
Done. Crap. And they're with Dust USA for releasing doing all the marketing here in the US for the Dust miniatures game. See, I got the name right, and now I've lost everything else I was going to say.
You said dust and had a brain fart.
So, I know, dust. Lots of dust. Weird War, World War II, awesome miniatures. I mean, I like, Weird War, so it always works out that way.
Yeah.
So how are you folks recovering?
Slowly.
Yeah.
Very. We measure it like plate tectonics. Pretty much.
So you got hit hard.
Strangely, yes.
Wow.
Like, usually I'm that mega convention mom that's shoving vitamins down everybody's throat during the show so that they don't get sick. And this year, I'm like, that stuff probably doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next year, it's going to be vitamin gummies all over the place. So they only eat it if it's gummies. If it's not gummies, then it won't go down.
You just walk in there every day and just coat yourself in hand sanitizer just to be safe.
Yeah, not even. Just hand them all the little trays of gummies, and they're just like, "Ooh, candy," and they just grab them and eat them.
Yeah, that's very true.
Especially Paolo. If it's not a gummy vitamin, Paolo's not going to eat it. He critiques them by their tastes.
That is
God. Awesome. So you guys have actually Dust itself has gone through quite an I don't want to say an iteration change, but it's changed quite a few hands now, and you guys are finally set on a path from the last time, Greg, that you and I talked kind of online a little bit, and it was a while ago, that it's like in a very positive, solid, forward-moving status right now. So I know that you guys were initially, with Fantasy Flight, you were with Battlefront, and now you guys are 100% on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly that. Our previous versions of the games were always influenced by the partners we had, obviously, because they were co-publishers or they were not just distributors. We never did that. So they always had some very serious input that they wanted to add to the game. And it was never the version that Olivier, the creator of the game, wanted. So when the situation arose that we could work on this game by ourselves, we jumped on it and we really made the game the way we wanted it. So it's streamlined, it's fast-paced, it's lethal, it's destructive, and it's overall it's fun. It's always about the fun that you're going to have playing the game, whatever the format.
Nice.
It's always about that.
So for those of us out there that have played some Dust before, or even dabbled in it a little bit when it was still with like FFG, or even that brief stint you guys had with Battlefront, what all have you guys changed in the rules as far as to, like, I guess to say 100% own it now?
The core rules are the same. You still have to compare the level of armor and the type of unit to the weapons to see the number of dice that you're going to roll and how many damage you're going to cause on each roll. This doesn't change. When you play grid, you still move on the grid the same way you used to do. So, or when you play out of the grid, you still measure the same way. So the core rules are exactly the ones that you've known for years.
Okay.
What has changed is the interactions, the way the abilities are written and the interactions of these abilities between each other. It's less confused, it's less complicated, it's less intricate. You have abilities that are clearer, that are, again, punchier. It's really about, making it fun and obvious. And you want some very cinematic action on the game. So now that we've rewritten these kind of interactions between the rules, that's what you get. For example, the melee is a little bit more powerful than it used to be. And it's going to take some time for people to see it, but it's actually really, really fun to play melee-oriented troops, which wasn't the case with the previous version.
All I'm hearing is gorillas.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Typically, gorillas in the previous iterations of the games were not popular because they were really fragile. And even when they arrived in melee, they were not that great. They did a bit of damage, but they were not, efficient for the cost. Now, when you play 3 gorillas, even just a unit of 3, you're going to really represent a huge threat for any, for example, vehicle on the table, because when they arrive on the vehicle, they're going to destroy the vehicle. And that's going to happen. So you really have to ponder the threat and the movement of everything.
Okay, excellent. Because I know that was one of the big things they kind of had before is like when they initially came out, and I understand I'm fanboying about gorillas here a little bit, guys, so folks bear with me. But like they were designed to be like vehicle crackers. And when they first came out, it was kind of like, if it's not like a light walker, you're probably...
It's exactly that.
Not going to do. They are the can openers.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. This makes me more excited. I need more gorillas.
Yeah, they are really can openers now. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
More gorillas.
So we've talked a little bit about Dust being kind of an alternate, World War II setting or Great War setting. For those of us that have listening to the show that have not really seen too much about Dust, why don't we go into the backstory of the world a little bit so people can kind of get an idea of how everything kind of came to be?
Well, the background of Dust, really quickly done. You're in 1947. The war never ended. Hitler got killed. Operation Valkyrie was a failure. And he was actually assassinated by the Wehrmacht. That was a little bit fed up with his shenanigans. And the German army found in Antarctica this weird source of power by capturing an alien spaceship. And this source of energy, the VK, the real culture, helped them enhance their weaponry. And of course, the war being what it is, all the other blocks managed to grab and snatch this technology to make it profitable for themselves. So you have walkers, lasers, phasers, Tesla weapons, gorillas with brains, since you like them. You have zombies, you have all these kind of things, rocketeers, and it's really, you're really into a Dieselpunk universe. So.
Excellent. Because that's always been one of the things that's really kind of turned me on to the game is the fact that, there was, at the time, there were so many games out that were just World War II. Mm-hmm. And then Dust came along, and it was very much that Dieselpunk. Like, we've got walkers, we've got really the Rocketeer, like if we all kind of remember that movie. And, of course, for me, we've got gorillas. But, and then on top of that, too, the zombies were always really fun to play just because of the fact that, like, they didn't even need to fire weapons, especially if they were the tank-cracking zombies. They would just run at tanks with explosives, and if they died, who cared? The tank went down, too. So it was always a lot of fun like that. Now, and some new factions. What all have you added since then? Because it used to be really Russia, the Axis, and the Allies.
So the system of blocks didn't change. You still have the 3 blocks: the Allies, the Axis, the SSU. But now inside each block, you have factions, and these factions, while they can play together in the same block, have their own agendas. So inside the SSU, you will have, for example, factions like the Spetsnaz, which are really elite Russian troops based on camouflage and, close combat demolition. You will have the Steel Guards, for example, that are really heavily armored troops because they are the heaviest armored troops in the game, with a lot of firepower but really slow. You will have the PLA, the new faction that we released actually for Gen Con, so the Popular Liberation Army of China, with the typical Kung Fu warriors, heroes that have these gigantic spears that they use to fight in melee, and troops that are meant to be swarming the enemy under a huge firepower, even though they're super fragile. So it's really, you have factions like that in every block. The Allies will have the Rangers, the USMC, and the new Desert Scorpions that are being released this year also. And then for the Axis, you have the NDAC, the New Dutch Afrika Corps, which is really the vanilla desert army, that the classic typical, army. And then you're going to have the Luftwaffe that we just released last year, with the Rocketeers and all the paratroopers and the planes. And then you're going to have the Blutkreuz, which is the faction of the mad scientists that create the lasers and the zombies and the gorillas.
Nice.
So each faction is going to have their own play style, their own background, and their own calculations in the war. So the new book, for example, that we just released, Condor, is an operation that is led by the Blutkreuz because they found something in the deserts between Iraq and Iran. They found something that is intriguing them, and they basically asked the Luftwaffe to overwhelm the Allied force. The Allied force is there because they want to go deeper underground and understand what's there. And if you read the book, you will see the short novels that Andy Chambers wrote. They leave you on a cliffhanger, but the cliffhanger, if you follow Gen Con, you will know that it's actually the new faction that we're going to release for Christmas, which is the Mythos, and it's going to be Cthulhu and his friends.
Yay! I saw some of the early sculpts of that at Gen Con, and I was like, oh, that's another one I want to play.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I've got a soft spot for monsters, so.
We're really excited about this faction. It's going to be really different gameplay-wise, while still being really in the spirit of Dust. But you're going to have these monsters, these cultists, new abilities pertaining to these monsters, like psychic screams that's going to paralyze everyone on the table, or this kind of thing. So it's going to be really interesting.
Awesome. So you guys have definitely expanded a lot since, even your FFG days, where, even when you guys were with FFG, I know that you guys released quite a bit, but it was still and there was no sub factions at that time. You were either SSU, Axis, or you were Ally. That was it. So you guys now doing the different sub factions and whatnot, you've definitely expanded upon everything that you've had.
Yeah, first there's something that people don't realize because time flies, but Dust has been now for sale since 2008, so it's been almost 10 years. So we had time to think about everything, and our fluff, the background, has always been really developed because Paolo and Olivier are really history buffs, but also really huge fans of everything that is Weird World War and Dieselpunk. And they wanted to introduce all that for a long time, but it didn't make sense, I would say, trade-wise. So, but now it was the right time for us to do that. First, because our game is mature enough that it allows us to do that, but also because it was a nice way for us to show everyone that we were still there and still kicking and really and show some stuff. So.
Yeah, and it's amazing because, in the gamer community, you hear so much about like the iterations that games go through. And, with Dust jumping from FFG to Battlefront, there was I don't want to say that, I don't want to go into details, but there was bad blood there. And, people can look that up and make whatever they want out of it for whatever reason. But, like a lot of people, they have this idea that when a game moves to a different company or takes on a new iteration, that it dies. And I can honestly say that as far as the Dust community goes, you guys have some of the most hardcore, diehard fans of any game that I've seen on the planet. Like, you guys tomorrow could just decide that the game is going to be played chibi style, and you're going to have all of the same people playing that game no matter what all the time.
I think that the strength of Dust is that we always try to make a game that was fun and accessible to everyone. And with this new version, it's even more true than before. It's really about that. I think that I was talking with some people in the industry recently, and basically we reached the conclusion that there is no bad system or good system in the miniature gaming. You know, it's only a system that you enjoy playing with your friends.
Right, I would agree with that.
And the previous versions of Dust, for example, I didn't like the first one. I really didn't like it personally. I never started Dust because of that. I didn't like the first version. I thought it was too complicated. It was not my style. When I discovered the last version that we released during Gen Con 2 years ago, 2015, I did a demo that Olivier gave me actually on their booth, and I was hooked. I was really hooked, and I told him, that's a great game. That's finally the game that it deserved to be for me. And I enjoyed it so much that the poor Olivier didn't have his voice anymore, and someone wanted a demo, and I was like, you know what? I can do it. I just played the demo like 5 minutes before, and I was able to play the game right away and explain it to someone else. And that's where I really understood that this game was really right where it needed to be. It's the good game, and it's the right game at the right time. So we're really, really happy with what we're doing right now. It makes us happy. So we hope that people are happy with it too.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I think that was the first time that I really saw. I guess that's the first time for me that I saw Dust kind of step out on its own. Is the best way for me to put it. Where it's like, this game finally has the identity that it deserves. Because at that point, I remember actually that was the same con where they had the limited edition Frank von Stein, which is I believe he's NDAC if I remember correctly. But
Blutkreuze.
Oh, he is Blutkreuze. Okay,
yeah.
So for those of you listening that aren't familiar with the lore, Frank von Stein is Frankenstein that works for the German mad scientists with Wolverine claws. Is the only way that I could possibly think to describe him.
The way I describe it when I do demos is that is the angry undead version of Wolverine.
And he wants to hug.
And he wants to hug everyone.
Yes.
So we have a lot of charismatic heroes. Paolo likes to talk about the game, saying that it's a hero game. That yes, you have troops, you have walkers, you have planes, you have a lot of very fancy stuff around it. But the core of it is that you have these super charismatic heroes. And for him, it's really important to emphasize on the fact that the heroes are always badass. They are always in combat position. It's really important for him. For example, all our women are not in pin-up positions. They are really in combat position or work position. And that was really important for him. Even when we do beefcake, cheesecake, that's how
cheesecake,
you call it.
Yeah.
Cheesecake. When we do cheesecake, it still has a purpose in the game. So it's really something that Paolo insisted on. So.
And I know I personally, and I picked up the, female, faction, which you seem to have forgotten about, but the mercenaries.
You're going to be happy in a very few months from now.
I keep hearing that.
Your bestseller.
and the females are very pin-uppy, but like you said, they aren't pin-uppy and useless. They're not like a female foxtrot that somebody finally released and then totally fucked it up. Instead they're sexy, but they're like a deadly sexy. And I like that. I actually avoid most female models because they are pin-uppy, and I'm like, that just ruins everything else I'm trying to do.
Yes.
We're talking about a war game, not a model posing game.
Now, there are certain games where it totally fits, and then there's some that it doesn't. In a game where you are, you know, fighting a war game, you know, you're fighting a war and all that, it doesn't.
I agree. That's really something that was important, as I said, for Paolo, and it's really important for Alicia also. She's really vocal about changing the status of female representation in this industry, and that's also something that we liked when we saw Dust, is that all the women are really empowered during the. Stop me if I'm mistaken, but.
No, there's nothing wrong with having a nice body on a mini, but don't make her helpless. You know?
Yeah, I
represent all
Definitely.
female shapes, and Paolo does that. He likes women of all shapes and sizes, and you know he's very good at depicting that in the game, and he gives an opportunity that maybe isn't available with other games. And I'd also like to see more women playing the game because it's very suitable for that.
right.
Rule set can be as simple or as complex as you'd like. And with our first convention at Origins last year, we were amazed at how many children walked around the corner because we were kind of in a bad location, some would say. But when the children would walk around the corner of the booth, they would see the table and they were like, wow, did you see those minis? And they would come over and they'd want to touch them and their parents would snatch them away like they're going to break something. And then I'd take a mini and I'd throw it on the ground and I'm like, it's okay. It's not going to break. He can touch it. And, you know, eventually the children would come back. And one such child actually brought his allowance, his birthday money, and bought a starter set because he enjoyed his demonstration so much. So it was a real win for us. And we saw that there was absolutely a market here that we're not pursuing and giving these kids an opportunity. And so when we did Gen Con, we actually had our youngest demonstrate the game. I believe he was 4 or 5.
5, yeah.
And that kid could roll dice. I told his mom to take him to Vegas because I've never seen a kid roll 12 dice and hit every time.
He was
It was insane. Like, really, like, change the dice out because there's something wrong.
But yeah, he was having a lot of fun. He was playing against his dad, who had a lot of fun also, and that's how I say that the game is mature enough now. You can play with your family, you can play super competitive, you can play really in tournaments with old gamers, you know, that are used to break the rules in every way possible, and still you will enjoy your game. So, and indeed, we have a very nice community, and it's really nice to see that during tournaments, no one behaves like an ass, you know. And it's really nice.
Yeah, I can honestly say that because it's funny. Nick and I have had this talk before. How like I used to be very much into the heavy War Machine crowd, where it's like that was my tournament game, and like I never went in there to be an asshole. But it always ended up that I was an asshole about 3 rounds in just because of the fact that everybody else was. And I'm like, okay, this is the only way I'm going to win going forward. It's like I got to be a complete jackass to everybody I run into in order to make sure that I go. And like I've watched numerous Dust games played at various conventions, and I've never once seen that. I don't even think I've ever seen anybody even raise their voice or get like flustered or, you know, like, or even if they like, read a rule wrong and they're like, oh no, I swear it's this way. And then they get clarification like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And they move on. They don't like throw a hissy fit and there's nothing like that. So, you know, definite props to the core community on that.
Yeah, they're really relaxed. They're really here to enjoy the game, enjoy a universe that is really particular and really that they made their own. And that's what we enjoy. It's really, Paolo always treats the players like they're part of the family.
Yeah,
because that's what it is. We have a niche game inside a niche industry, and it's all about, you know, again, playing against each other. It's actually playing with each other and enjoying the game together, enjoying the same kind of game and having fun. You're gonna sacrifice, you know, a huge portion of your life putting together, painting, or just playing. And you don't want to waste it.
It's your hobby. If you can't enjoy your hobby while you're playing, why are you playing it?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
If you're miserable and you're ticked off because, whatever reasons, or because your community is not just supportive of having a good time, why?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Again, that's, and that might be me getting older too, because at this point, that's 7 years ago that I was heavy into the War Machine community. But like, even back then, it's like, I need to win, getting into those kind of tournaments like that. It's like, I need to win. And like, I always thought on that level. And there was a point where I reached it. It's like, you know what? I just don't enjoy this anymore. I'd much rather just sit back, with a couple of friends, drink some beers, grill out, and play games. And if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. Shenanigans all around, and let's all have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what we're looking for.
I don't think it's a matter of age. I think that now 10 years ago, you had basically the choice between 2 or 3 games. Mm-hmm. Now you can play a plethora of games. Like even in the miniature industry, you have everything from the super skirmish sci-fi game to the massive battle fantasy game. I mean, you can choose whatever you want. And really, it's a matter of now I want to have fun. And being immersed in a nice universe is not enough. It's good, but it's not enough. And you need to also have players that you want to meet during your weekends, that you've hardly earned during your week of work. And you just want to relax and sit back, have a nice cold drink and enjoy. And it's not just a matter of age. And that's the reason why we also have these families that come to the game, because they see that it's family friendly, even though it's not simple. It's not a simple game. I'm not going to try to say that you can dumb it down like it's not Carcassonne. It's not a game that you can explain in 5 seconds and play like that. It's something that you need to explain, you need to develop, to get interested in, so that you can develop some strategies. But still, it's a game that you can put on the table in 15 minutes and start playing.
To me, he can teach it to anyone.
Yeah, that was the epiphany. I showed it to Alicia, and then I showed it to our kids. We have 3 daughters, and at that time they were basically the youngest was 9 and the oldest was 14.
Yeah, and he was teaching me, and when the kids came over and they were like, "Well, can I play?" And I'm like, "You're not gonna like this. It's a war game." And she's like, "Well, but I like it. I like these minis. They're really cool." And I'm like, "Why did I even say that? That was horrible for me to say that. Why wouldn't she like it? So try it. If you want to play, try it." And she's a kind of a power gamer now.
She is.
So you created a monster.
We're gonna have to control her. Yeah. So
she has an ability to find some really nasty lists. So nice. it's really funny. So that again, it's always the same thing. I want to be able to play a game that I can play with anyone and have fun. And for the moment, this is the game that does that. So I'm really happy with that.
Nice. So let's go back to the model building portion, because that's actually something that I was really keen on when I noticed you guys kind of broke away. Mm-hmm. You guys Dust initially. When you guys were set up with Fantasy Flight, you had pre-built and kind of pre-primed models that kind of came in blister packages and whatnot. And now through the Dust website, and I'm sure through distribution and all the other channels they can get it through, you actually have 3 different levels of models.
Yes. You can buy your models in model kits, what we call model kits. And it's basically on sprues or in little bags, depending on the quality of plastic that we use. And you have to put it together and paint it. You can buy it primed, which is the one that you've known for years. So it's put together and you have a layer of primer on it. It's a specific primer that we use that changes depending on the quality of the plastic, so that it doesn't flake off. So it looks like the plastic is painted to the core with that, but it's just a primer, but it doesn't flake off. And we add a few details like decals or these kind of things, but it's already put together in a box. You can buy it, open the box, done. And then the last quality, I would say the best, is the premium model, and it's completely painted. And what we show when we go to conventions, what we show in our glass cases or our demo tables is not studio painted. It's actually right out of the box.
Okay.
how proud we are of the quality of the painting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah, you can buy primed or premium, and you can play right out of the box. And that's really, that's an important part of the game for us. We want people to be able to play the way they want.
Right, which makes sense. And I know that the price kind of adjusts compared to that as well. Like your kits on sprues are cheaper than your primed, and your primed is cheaper than your premium painted.
If it's on sprues, most of the time it's going to be $5 less than the primed, and the premium is going to be double the price of the primed, because obviously the time that we need to take just to paint the minis at the quality we want makes the markup obvious.
It's a hand paint, not a machine paint. So there are people who paint specific sections of the minis, and they're overseen by a head painter to make sure that everything's done properly.
Okay, that was actually going to be my next question, because as far as like a I don't want to say legitimate miniatures company, but one of the only ones in the industry outside of like D&D that has pre-painted miniatures, you're really the only company that does have a fully pre-painted line. I was going to ask, like, what is your process to go about doing that?
It's basically a limited amount of miniatures are set aside, and they are going to be hand painted. We have a team of painters there in China that paint everything. So one person is going to do all the faces, another person is going to do all the camo, another one is going to do all the weapons. And we make a very limited amount of these boxes. And that's pretty much all. So they're packed differently with a different label and done.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's why at times they can be out of stock, is because we're waiting for the next shipment of them to arrive. Because it's a limited quantity that's made at a time, because it's 12 people painting, vigorously, but, very specifically.
Right. And that makes perfect sense, because, there's a lot of games that are coming out that have pre-painted miniatures. I look very much at like Crom, the Conan Rise of Monsters. Mm-hmm. And I know that they use the laser CAD painting method, where it's like, it's basically like a small airbrush that follows a pattern and sprays this specific color at this specific juncture and all that. But again, it still looks very toy-like, and that was where I was going to ask that question. It looks like your stuff is very much painted by hand.
It is.
And now that I know that it is, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, and it looks absolutely fantastic. As a matter of fact, I have the premium edition starter set from the last Kickstarter you guys did when you were still with Battlefront. Mm-hmm. So, and I looked at it, I was like, well, maybe I got to do some touch-up work. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't have to do squat.
Really,
so it's just good to go.
The point for you is to really open the box, play right away. Unless you're really, really demanding on the quality of your painting, you will not need to touch up anything. So.
Right, which is amazing. So as far as that goes, like, definite props to you guys. Like, on a logistics level, I know that's got to kind of suck in the background.
It's challenging, but we are prepared for that. So it's good.
Nice. So what is the future of Dust? Like, we're talking now about this Cthulhu mythos that's coming out later on this year. You've got some campaign books out. I know that you guys have done even some online, just like kind of web only campaigns. What do you see as the next evolution, or where do you see it going from here? Now that you're out on your own, you can finally do 100% what you want.
Well, right now, we are going to expand the range. So we're going to release 2 new blocks. First, it's going to be the Japanese Imperial Navy. Mm-hmm. That is going to be released, and the Vril. We're going to finally release the aliens that started it all.
They're finally coming back for their tech, huh?
Yes, actually. Well, the whole story is that let's go back to the background, because it's a funny detail. The Japanese Imperial Navy is actually the one who found this weird island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean called Relie, and they woke up something that didn't need to be awakened. And that's the reason why, for example, their walkers are going to be actually gigantic robots that are platons. So if you have a feel for Jaegers against Godzilla, because there's a reason.
That's awesome.
At the same time, as I told you, Operation Condor is the Blutkreuz finding this weird stuff in the middle of the desert. It's because you have this hero from the mythos called Ekaterina that is going to do this kind of weird ritual in the middle of the desert to wake up someone that was sleeping there. And this someone is Rasputin. And
nice.
By doing so, she's going to obviously wake up Rasputin, but she's also going to open a portal to another dimension. And you're going to have this avatar of Nyarlathotep that's going to get out of it.
Oh, so you are going straight up mythos with this. You're not.
No, really. You're going to have all the staples of the mythos, but it's going to be made the dust way. So.
Perfect. Okay.
The shapes are really, really respectful of the mythos, but our sculpts are really specific. You're gonna have the avatar of Nyarlathotep, for example. You're gonna have the spawns of Cthulhu, which are basically miniature Cthulhu, so wings, tentacles on the face, the whole thing, So
fat little gorilla-looking bodies.
Yes, exactly. So yeah,
see, you've definitely sold Tim on this. Fat Cthulhu gorillas.
And by doing so, actually, the Vrils, when the Vril pilot landed in Antarctica, it was not an accident. They were actually aware that the Japanese Imperial Navy found this island, and the Vril told the Axis scientists that were there, we're going to come back and we're going to wipe you out of the surface of the earth because you did what shouldn't be done. And the Vrils are actually the sworn enemy of the Great Old Ones.
Oh, so in a way, they're kind of the elder gods.
Exactly that.
I like it. Okay.
About the plague of humanity.
Yeah.
All right. So the important question is are the mercenaries going to get a big red guy with a big hand and a big gun and no horns?
So no, for two reasons.
Oh man. How does Tim keep getting monkey after monkey after monkey and I can't even get a big red guy? Just one.
It's going to be for a reason of copyright. For the same reason, you're not going to have Captain America in the game. We would love to, but honestly, you don't want to play with Marvel or the owners of Hellboy. They're not kidding with that. So, so no, not that. Obviously, we love their universe, and obviously, some stuff that we did was an homage to these kind of things. But no, the homage will not go further than that.
Nice.
But you will have some mercenaries. I swear that really, before Christmas, you're going to have a new vehicle. And after Christmas, you're going to have some new troops and new heroes. So, yeah, we have something lined up for everyone.
And he might like the Vrils.
Oh, the Vrils, I'm pretty sure they're going to like them. They're really pulp sci-fi. But it's right now, Paolo is working on them. He's actually making the first artwork for them. So we might have something to show for probably next Gen Con.
Perfect. Okay, so you guys are definitely spacing it out a little bit. I mean, you don't want to spill all the beans all at once.
Oh, no, definitely not. We are actually... It's also a matter of making sense for the retailers. And that's where Dust USA was created. It's because we really wanted the retailers to get our products easily, because for a while the products were shipped from China and the conditions were really bad. So we decided with Paolo and Alicia to create Dust USA so that they can get the products directly from us. And it actually works pretty well. The demand was there. So we are extending every month, and it's really nice. But really the point for us is to make sense for the retailers. So the waves that are going to be released, for example, are going to be really limited. We're not going to have 6 products at the same time. It doesn't make sense. It's too heavy, and people don't have the time to enjoy what they purchased before the next wave. So it really doesn't make sense anymore for the miniature market. So yes, we're spacing out, definitely. You're going to have some release for everyone, but it's not going to be at the same time, and they're going to be able to really explore. So.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention something about that with, I guess you want to call it the Kickstarter fatigue when it comes time to miniatures games. It's like the moment that the Kickstarter ends, whoever backed that Kickstarter at whatever the I got it all level is, they already have everything. So they feel like the only way that these companies can catch up when they hit the market is to basically go, okay, everything that was in the Kickstarter gets launched in the next 4 months.
Yes.
And the problem with that is there's so many people that end up with, like, and Nick and I were talking about this, and one of my goals for this year is just this massive sea of gray.
Yeah.
Where it's like they've got so many miniatures. They're like, I don't know how in the hell I'm going to get all this painted in any type of a timely manner to get to play any of it.
Yes.
So, you kind of get hit with like almost like just an information overload, or even just like a straight fatigue, because you have so much that you can't focus on one thing to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. Kickstarter is a boon for publishers, because they can go beyond the whole distribution process and the hassle, to be honest. So I understand that they want to do that. It makes sense business-wise to make this fast money and to be able to produce at once something that you would take several months to produce. Mm-hmm. It helps. And indeed, it creates this kind of buzz among players that, because let's be honest, 70% of the miniature players are also, I used to call them metal hoarders, but now they are just plastic hoarders.
Yeah, just hoarders. Just hoarders.
Yeah, just hoarders. They really like to pile up everything, and to lay on their pile of miniatures to see if it's comfortable. So
it's the only way I can fulfill my smog fantasies.
It's exactly that. Every single miniature player is a smog, but so it. I don't blame them for that. It's part of the pleasure. But yeah, when you don't go through Kickstarter, it allows you also to pace out your game so that people really have the time to play the game. So we are really fervent adepts of the slow growth. And that's really something that we're trying to do in our everyday activity.
We don't want to boom and have quality change.
Yes.
They try very hard to oversee everything at the factory to make sure that nothing changes in the way the products are made, and that if anything, it gets better.
And it goes beyond that. Even with the retailers that we work with, they are all making the effort of organizing play nights, dust days, and these kind of things, and it's really nice. We just don't pile up their shelves, with dead products that are gonna take the dust. It's really a matter of having a passion for the game, having a passion for the product. So
right, you want people collecting dust in a good way.
Exactly, with a capital D.
Awesome. So speaking of dust
days,
yes,
go ahead, Jinx. Speaking of dust days, so, just before Gen Con, I saw a post from you, Greg, going, oh my God, getting ready for Gen Con, it sucks. Uh-huh. And even though Tim wasn't going, he was kind of bitching and complaining about the same thing. But it's because he's, an evil corporate, distribution person.
Yeah. From my end, it sucks when I got to enter all the new stuff while everybody else is out having fun. I'm back entering stuff into a computer going, I wish I was there.
So, yeah, I poked a little fun and, ended up some people got talking and all that. And now there's going to be a dust day that you're showing up for here in at the Atlanta area.
Yes.
At our friendly local game store, Gigabytes Cafe. So I don't know. I mean, I know that it's got a few people excited. I have Jim Godden. He is blowing up because I've been interested in Dust. I've actually had the Mercenary starter set staring at me for a while. You commented on it earlier that you could see it over my shoulder. And I am taking, some time during the show to start working on painting them because I like painting them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's helped give. I mean, there's been people still playing around here, but now there's more people that are more excited. So that's going to be what day?
You know what? It's going to be on
October 27th is when we arrive. The 28th is the dust day, and then we leave the next morning.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Fantastic.
Total fly by night.
Just to see you.
That is awesome. We do feel definitely very special about that one.
No, we feel very glad to have the chance for the event. It's nice.
As I told you, the stores we work with make the effort. And when they make the effort, we make the effort. So David, the owner of Gigabytes, is really a great shop owner. And he's doing a great job with his shop. And I know that Jim is an old friend of mine, actually. We've known each other since France, so we used to play Monster Apocalypse together. So it's been a while, but yeah, Jim is really motivated, and really we want to set up something nice for people so that they can discover the game, play the way they want. So a Dust Day, for example, is not a tournament. It's something where you're going to play. You're going to have some rewards. You're going to have some gifts and some freebies and stuff like that, but the point is for you to bring what you have and be able to play with it against everyone. So if you come with a full-fledged 100-point army, good for you. We will find someone to play against you. But if you come with just a starter set, well, you're going to play in the same amount of time, except you're going to do 5 games instead of 1. So and it's completely okay. Your opponent is going to adjust to what you have. They're going to shrink back to the same level of points, and you're going to be able to play. So, and we're going to have some scenarios that are really specific so that everyone can play and have a common goal, for example, per block. So we already did that several times where one block was the defender, the other 2 were the attackers, and you had to defend a focal point on a map. And basically, each game would decide how the map would be conquered, either by the attackers or the defender. So we're going to do these kind of things. It's going to be really fun.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. And as I said, Jim has been kind of blowing it up because he's busy on the weekends. So he was looking for somebody that was a fan of Dust that would help run things for him on the weekends, doing games and demos. And he caught me on a good night. I was just coming off of doing a big game for Blood and Plunder, and I was like, yeah, sure. now I need to figure out another game.
It's okay. It's a fun game, and it's an easy game to figure out, so you're good.
I figure I am. I just got to figure out how I'm expanding my mercenaries, since they really have just the starter. I mean, there's a couple of little things, but
yeah, there's a couple of other miniatures. And if you go to the Dust Day, for example, the grand prize is actually a mercenary medic called Emma, which is an exclusive preview for the organized play kit. So you won't see this miniature in any box for sale before a year and a half.
Nice.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. And then there was something else I noticed on Facebook the other day that you kind of snuck in, something about planning a great big event for next year.
Yes, we are still exploring the possibilities right now because we have to figure out the venue and make sure that we can actually do it. But Alicia is going to be able to talk about it better than I.
Yes, we are hoping to have the event at I believe it's an Air Force museum near Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, yeah.
We're working with a local retailer to co-host the event, and we're hoping to get quite a few people there. I'm hoping that we can be in an area where we're near machines or planes or things like that, and we will set up a small shop there, so if people want to buy anything to add to their armies, they'll be able to. We really want to have kind of an all-inclusive kind of event. I'll be looking into some hotel blocks since it will be a 2-day event to facilitate people getting housing if they wish to stay there. See what we can do. Also be looking to see what local restaurants are around just so that they can have kind of a package to see, make things a little bit easier for those coming in from out of town.
Definitely.
So, but we're looking to do it in the fall of next year. Paolo did tell me tentatively he has said, yay, 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 he is coming. So I'm pretty excited.
He's going to get here and go, it's Ohio in the fall. It's cold there. No, thank you.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if he'd be willing to do it after attending Gen Con, but apparently right now he says, yes, it's possible.
It's actually the Gen Con sickness that's got him agreeing to it.
Probably.
It's the delirium. He's like, yeah, that sounds great.
Yes.
So this is going to be, I guess, if you want to call it like the big national U.S. dust event is what you're planning this to be.
Yes. And ideally, I have huge plans that I would like to do on the U.S. side of Dust because, as you know, it's a global game. So I can only comment my ideas for my country.
Sure. So
that's where we're the Dust Patriots. So, and I ideally would love for all the other countries to name themselves of what they would like to be named as, whatever goes along with their country the best. So this one will be hopefully the largest Dust event in the United States. But as the company grows and the stores grow with us, I would like to have another similar event in the South near you guys. And then, so basically, eventually there would be 4. There would be, the Northeast, the Southeast, the Northwest, and the Southwest. So, and then the winners of those events would then go to some other location to battle it off. And then my big, big dream is that this would happen all over the world. And then the winners of each country, like the Olympics, would go to some super crazy, ridiculous location, all expenses paid, and battle it off together, to do massive destruction and high casualties until somebody wins.
Almost like Dust
Island in the some mystery island in the Pacific.
Yeah, but yes. Greg told me there was like this marvelous castle somewhere in France that they used to try to rent out for shows and to have their own events, and that would just be super cool. And
it was actually not just a castle; it was actually a bunker that the Germans put together during the Second World War, and that was heavily bombed in the region I used to live in. And they rehauled the whole building, they redid part of it, and now it's a museum. And you can actually rent some spaces in it, and it's beautiful. It's by the sea. It's on an island. It's by the sea. It's on the Riviera. I mean, it's amazing. So that's
amazing.
That does sound pretty cool.
I have a lot of caviar dreams, so we'll just right now we're going to stick with our beer budget, and we're going to start our first largest Dust event next fall. We're supposed to go on an exploratory visit to meet with the people who run the museum and schedule out a date soon.
Awesome.
All right.
So I would say, when you start looking in the Southeast, even though I now have sold my house there and almost all my ties to that area are about to, be cut. Fort Walton Beach, Florida, right outside of Eglin Air Force Base, has the Air Force Armament Museum as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, all in for ideas.
And it is an amazing place because it has an air park that has lots of planes. The inside is pretty awesome with different displays and all that. Mm-hmm. On top of that, then in Pensacola, you have the Naval Air Museum. On Hurlburt Field, Florida, which is all these. So the farthest one away is about an hour, and that was the Pensacola one. There's an air park on Hurlburt Air Force Base, which is only 20 minutes, not even. And there's a lot of awesome right in that region.
That would be good.
Cool.
So I know we already looked at the Northwest, and we were thinking about maybe Las Vegas because they had what was it? It was a nuclear fallout museum, something that's atomic museum, something over there. And then what I think is really cool, but maybe other people would think it's kind of lame, is that they have a place where you can shoot heavy machinery. Drive a tank.
Yeah, 10-8 Studios.
Yeah, you could drive a tank over a car. I mean, who wouldn't like that reward? I mean,
right?
That's what the winner of the Dust tournament gets.
What are you going to do? I'm going to drive a tank over a car.
And actually, don't they have something like that right there in near there in Ohio?
I don't know. I haven't heard of it. Oh. If there is, I need to know. Seriously, we need a field trip.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll help you guys research where you could drive a tank over a car anywhere in the United States.
Perfect.
That's the start. And listeners, if you know of any place where we could drive a tank over a car,
that's right.
Please email us either at tim@skirmishsupremacy.com or nick@skirmishsupremacy.com or post it to our Facebook page. We'll all like to know.
I love that.
Bucket list. Yeah. Gotta do that. Seriously.
Nice.
All right. Let's see.
Awesome. So you guys have touched upon, obviously, you guys coming out and being your own independent company. You guys are growing as a company. You've got a lot of stuff planned in the future. The one thing that we haven't really talked about here as we wrap up is where can everybody find information about Dust now?
So the main website is dust1947.com. And you will find all you need. So the rules, the cards for free download. You will find all the product range and these kind of things. Our web store, dustusa.com, will allow you to find the products if your LGS doesn't carry them. Obviously, we encourage people to tell their LGS to contact us if they want to get the products. Because it's going to be easier for them to get them. And we are all about supporting the local game stores. We have no pleasure in doing mail order. So it's all about, supporting the stores, because without the stores, you don't sell miniatures. It's a product that you need to carry in your hands to see it properly.
And you don't have anywhere to play except for each other's homes. And sometimes it's not possible.
Exactly. So yay for LGSs.
Yes, always. Especially for miniatures gaming. Miniatures games are like, as much as everything's moving to the online space, miniatures games are still that one thing that need the local game store in order to survive.
Yes. And then we communicate heavily through Facebook. This is really our main venue of communication. We have the Dust USA official page. We have the Paolo Parente's Dust 1947 official page.
It's very active.
Yes. Yeah, we have a very active community, so it's really nice. And then we have the official group, Paolo Parente's Dust 1947. And this is where you will find in the files, for example, the cards, the rules, some campaigns that are homemade by some of our players and this kind of things. So it's really where you will find answers to your questions. You will find your new game partners. You can announce your events or find events there. So it's really, we really use Facebook heavily. It's our websites are really nice, and we are making them better every time we can. But really, Facebook is a huge tool for us to communicate with everyone. So
nice, awesome. So you guys are definitely all over the place as far as your outreach, which is great because it's always something that we like to see. The last thing we want to see is a company that kind of is like, hey, we got miniatures. That's the extent of their message. So the fact that you guys are out there, you're pushing the game, you're really passionate about it is something that we personally like to see here on the podcast. We like people to be passionate about the stuff they're putting out and not just saying, hey, you know what, this is how we make money. It's important to us to see that you are building your communities. You're reaching out to the local game stores. You're reaching out to the players themselves, and you're trying to do something special for them on a, as regular of a basis as you can make it. So, props to you guys on that one.
Thank you. We want to do something a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are killing it. I'm not going to lie, you're killing it. Nick, is there anything else you want to throw in there before we wrap this bad boy up?
I don't think so. I think we've hit on pretty much everything. So thank you for coming out, or being available, getting over the plague.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up this episode of Skirmish Supremacy. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening to another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. To see more of the antics that Nick and I do, you can check us out on Facebook at Skirmish Supremacy. We also have Twitter, which we can be reached at Skirmish Supreme, because apparently Skirmish Supremacy does not fit in Twitter. And if you want to email us directly, you can reach us at tim@skirmishsupremacy.com or nick@skirmishsupremacy.com. Thanks for listening.